Yeah, what's up guys, and welcome back to the Football Appreciation YouTube channel. Now, I did a video last week about Ruben Neves leaving. Now, it kind of looks like there's more substance to that rumour. A lot of the big Wolves journalists and Arsenal journalists are saying that, contact's been made between Neves and Arsenal, which kind of feels like a backwards move, to be honest. It feels like one of these moves that doesn't feel good for anyone. Like, I don't feel like Wolves should sell him, and I don't feel like Arsenal should necessarily buy him either. It doesn't feel like it's a great move for anyone. Now, from an Arsenal point of view, you need a central midfielder who's either a creator or an out-and-out defender, and Neves kind of is a hybrid of that. So I don't really see why it. If you let's just say they do sign Ruben Neves. You want Thomas Partey as your destroyer, and then surely you want someone who's kind of a proper DM, and Neves kind of isn't that. And then for Wolves, if we lost Ruben Neves, it would just be Dendoncker and Moutinho at the club, and apparently Moutinho's leaving. So then I might as well get rid of Moutinho and put in Otasawi because there's no one else there. So like it feels like one of those moves that's not good for anyone. Like if you look at Ruben Neves' numbers, I don't think Ruben Neves is a bad player. Let me make that clear, but there's this kind of myth that he's this like great goal scoring midfielder, and he's just not. Like the thing is with Neves, he's kind of just like a better Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka's an elite passer and he does some defensive work, but he's kind of just immobile, can't really shoot, and just holds the ball well. Ruben Neves is a bit better, obviously. He does more defending, but that's probably because he's in a defensive side. Like these numbers aren't incredible for a defensive kind of midfielder, and he's been playing in a really bad Wolves side. So if you put him in a better side, these would be even lower. He's a decent player on the ball. I think everyone would agree with that. And these numbers would be higher if he was at a better team. But I just don't think Neves has kicked on in the way most Wolves fans would expect. And when you go on Twitter and you see people like this guy, we want to build a project and sell our best players for cheap. I wouldn't say Neves is like unsellable. I think Ruben Neves is a very replaceable midfielder. Like if you take away the emotions that we have from like the Championship season and our first season back, he hasn't really kicked on. Like, be totally honest. Like, Wolves fans watching this, right? Be totally honest. If Ruben Neves played for Crystal Palace, and we had no idea who he was just some guy at Crystal Palace, and we paid 35 million for him, would you be happy about that if you looked at these numbers? I don't think you would be. And look, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I want Ruben Neves to stay. Of course I do. I love the guy. But all these people are freaking out on Twitter. It's like, and like, look. There was someone saying about how like we sell all our best players for cheap, but I don't think people realise. Yeah, this guy. I don't think people realise that the reason we sell George Mendes clients for cheap is because we also get them for cheap. Like this guy saying 45 million for Diogo Jota is like terrible. That's like four times what we paid for him in like 2 years. Same with Neves. Like the reason we got Neves for so cheap is because of George Mendes. So if you all of a sudden you can't. Neves was probably a £30 million player when we bought him. Now he's probably a £50 million player. So we got 15%, 15 million off, but we're also going to have to lose 50 million when we sell him. It's just how George Mendes works. Like, I don't get why this is so surprising to people. We all gave it like the Billy Big Bollocks when we were getting these players for cheap. And all those guys on TalkSport were going like, oh, Mendes is just going to take all your players away from your club, blah, blah, blah. And we all laughed at them. Well, this is what happens. You can't accept the good and then not the bad, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And I get why Wolves fans are annoyed. But ultimately, first of all, it's just contact, so it hasn't happened yet. But I don't think Ruben Neves is this incredible, irreplaceable player. Like, if this was Adama Traore or Pedro Neto, I'd be kind of like, what? Yeah, sure, I get it. I do. But Neves is stagnating. I think most of our fans can agree with that. And look, maybe that's just down to Nuno. And if you put him in a Bruno Lage system that's more attacking, maybe his value would go up. But if Ruben Neves has kind of another average season, then his value just drops and he gets older. And if you're Fosun, you're probably looking at it and going, you know what? FFP's screwing us. That's why I have an issue with this, by the way, like all our fans moaning, because Wolves did that Ask Wolves thing a few days ago. And they said, like, look, we're gonna have to sell. European FFP screwing us. Like, that's kind of them saying, look, we're gonna sell some people. And I think they're also going to buy people as well. Like, Tim Spears says, look, they need to sell big to buy big. So to me, that says there will be a replacement. Like, we're not just going to sell Ruben Neves and have Owen Otasawi and Dendoncker as a midfield too, right? Like, I don't think the club are that stupid. I hope they're not anyway. But regarding like what Arsenal, like I don't think he'd be a terrible signing for Arsenal. By the way, like if you're an Arsenal fan watching this, I'm not saying he's an awful player. He's not. I just don't really think he's what you need. He's kind of Ruben Neves is his downside. So he's an immobile midfielder who can't shoot. But the good things about him, he's a really good passer, and he's a decent defender. But Granit Xhaka is a really good passer, and Thomas Partey's a pretty good defender. So you're kind of not really getting anything new. I don't know if that makes sense. Like if you've got Yves Bissouma, you've got someone who's a bit more of a dribbler, and it will kind of make more sense. Whereas I don't really see what Neves adds that Arsenal don't already have, especially when you're going to pay upwards of 40 million quid. So I kind of agree with this guy, to be honest. I don't think I disagree that he's not an upgrade. He's definitely a better player than Granit Xhaka. On the ball, they're probably similar, but he's more mobile. He's a better tackler. He's better in the air. He's a better player than Granit Xhaka, and he's younger. But it's not as big of an upgrade as people would think it is. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I just don't. I just think our fans are overreacting. I think everyone knew this was the case like 2 years ago. People thought Neves would have gone the season we got promoted. Our first season in the Premier League. Most people thought he was going to go then, and I don't think Neves' numbers or his performances. Like I remember 2 months ago when we lost to Burnley, people saying how much of a disgrace Ruben Neves was and how terrible he was, and he hasn't kicked on. Now all of a sudden we're selling him for like 40 million euros or 40 million quid, and people are like so shocked. That's a lot of money, especially for a club that's in the financial situation we are. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, this might not happen. This might just be like paper talk. But the fact that all the big journalists are kind of jumping on it now makes me think, there's kind of stuff that's going to happen. It'd be interesting to see if Bruno Lage comes in and he's already gone. That could be the case. But yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe. My general, like, just to summarise, I don't have an issue with it, just as long as we get in a replacement who's kind of a similar level. If you're an Arsenal fan watching this, I don't think he's that much of an upgrade on Granit Xhaka. He's a better player by quite a bit, but is he £40 million better than Granit Xhaka? No. And I don't think he really offers anything in that midfield that Partey or Xhaka wouldn't together. And he's not as good as both of them in one player. So it's not like you can all of a sudden play an extra midfielder just playing by himself. But yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe to the channel and peace.